if you do not have your own backbone, people will not respect you. Culture is that backbone. And that's just a life lesson within itself. If you let people push you around, if you don't got an identity for yourself, then people will feel entitled and feel like they can take what they want from you. They feel like they can do anything with you. And so, as a people in all continents, we all must understand, and also Africans, that we have to embrace our culture. Otherwise, that is our downfall if we do not do so. This matters because, as we can see across the whole world, that everyone else has their own culture. Like China has Taoism or Buddhism. Japan has Shintoism. India has Hinduism. Europe, Christianity. And I could say more. But for some reason, when it comes to us with this pigmented skin, we seem to not understand where we come from. And honestly, I can't really blame anybody because due to colonialism, we ended up losing our way slowly but surely. Now, I'm not saying it's gone. It's never been gone. There's people practicing traditions and not saying it's witchcraft. There's people who practice and embrace their own. But we got to understand, because we've seen so many examples of how this damages our people. If you see how people always talk about Africa, right? They always talk about, oh, they're poor, or they got no water. They always say that stuff. But it's not because Africans are stupid and they're not civilized. They had that. If anything, it was better in the 60s than it was now. I mean, as we've seen, there's multiple examples of a great civilization, but we'll get to that later in this video. But we remember Haiti, about the colorism of Dominican Republic, the lighter skinned and the dark skinned Haiti. Then all of a sudden, now, if you have lighter skin, you're more superior and stuff like that. We also see how African Americans, sometimes we embrace too much on slavery because we feel like that's where we came from. Not all of us think that, but thank goodness, but we think that sometimes. And it causes some form of spiritual confusion. We know that slavery, speaking of slavery, we already know that slavery is still here. If you didn't already notice, we fight within ourselves instead of fighting for each other. I'm obviously not going to say this is 100%. I'm not going to do that. But I'll tell you this, the colonialism it's not physical anymore. That's outdated. Now it's mental. There's a lot more slaves now than there were back then. So we have to keep this in mind, because the thing about it is, between the master and the slave, right? When the master can strip away your backbone piece by piece, your traditions, your culture, your identity, it's easier to control. And this is common knowledge. I'm not going to act like, oh, I know everything. No, this is common knowledge. That's how it works. It's easy to control people when you confuse them, you gaslight them, you do what you need to do with them. And that's what happened over the years. And now we're scattered in this part. Obviously we're scattered. Everybody's scattered now, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we have to learn from our three current examples as African people. We all know about Burkina Faso. We already know what's going on with that. That's been a trend recently. We know that their civilization is growing because they decide to focus on African solutions. They decided to understand that, hey, we need to build our own economy and nations back, but within our bases. See, the thing is, right? Because some people don't understand. They'd be like, oh, well, our leaders are corrupt, or Africans' leaders are corrupt. You have to understand, and you really have to understand me when I'm talking. You have to understand that it's not about the corrupt people. People are not corrupt because they're corrupt or why they're in that position. Africans didn't just say, hey, I want a corrupt leader. That's not how that worked. You heard of economic hitmen? You heard of all these Western powers putting people in? You heard of that? That's why. That's why there's been the progress has not been steady. We have to understand we have materials. We have things that are valuable to everyone. But we are getting convinced that we're inferior. We're not, though. We're literally the same with different pigments because of evolution. Rather you believe in that or not. You remember Rwanda, obviously, same thing after the genocide. Ghana, year of coming back. You seen how they were making, I believe, neighborhoods in, I think it was Ghana and Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. So there's plenty of examples we have to follow so we can, as a society, understand, you know what, we need to stick by each other. We don't need to be in confusion no more. And it's just embracing that. Simple as that. Look, I'm going to say this again. This is why I love the Kwanzaa principles. Okay? I'm just going to go over it a little bit. Umoja, unity. We must stay united across the skin tone. Kujichagulia, Swahili, by the way. Self-determination. We name ourselves, define ourselves, not others. Ujima, collective work. It is us to fix our communities, not outsiders. That's what's been going on. We've been within Africa, specifically, it's been controlled by others. This is our land. Why are we giving our keys to someone else? It's basically like saying you're giving the keys to a robber that's trying to rob you. Like, it makes no sense because it makes no sense. But anyway, Ojama, cooperative economics, support Black and African businesses and circulate the wealth. That's important. Nia, purpose. Remember why we exist beyond survival. So beyond, oh, we just want to live, right? You have to build something greater, something more important for our future generations. And that's very, very important. Amani, faith, believe in ourselves. Even when the world doubts us, even when the world doubts us. You know, there's like, I know y'all remember this example, right? I know y'all remember this example. Remember the COVID? I'm just saying an example of like recently, other than Burkina Faso, other than other nations that are successfully thriving and stuff like that. But remember COVID, how, you know, I guess some people, higher ups, we know, they're expecting Africa to not deal with that situation. Turns out the U.S. ended up being number one affected and number one deaths, but Africa was way low because they understand what they're doing. But it's like, it's almost like when a Black man or a Black woman do something, it's like witchcraft, like for real. It's ignorant. But look, I want to close off with this. Culture is the backbone of people. It is our armor. So we as Africans must stand up. Embracing our own is not a bad thing, because some people demonize it because of certain religions. And it's just one of those things, it's really sad. So more specifically, when it comes down to it, we have to understand religion is a construct of humans. We have to understand that. It's not just, let's just be real. That's just how it works. Because people use religion for control, and it shouldn't be. Spirituality is a greater thing that we all go through. We have different versions of God. There isn't one true God. There isn't on this world. If you want to go there and then there's a place or a book that says that, that's fine. I don't even judge nobody. Now, I don't want to go on a tangent or nothing, but is it okay? It should be okay to have your own path. You know, some people don't understand that. They feel like if it's not my way, it's the highway, and it's not how it works. We can't weaponize that, because there's a bunch of messages that we learn from to become a better person and follow. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Buddha. I don't care. We should all be we should be fine. It shouldn't be nothing to do with what we believe in. And as long as it preaches love, that's a true religion. Berikamberi, meaning live and let live. If you live and let live, this world will be a better place. Because nobody's worried about this. Everybody's embracing each other. And we have to understand, too, it's not secluded. You notice how many people are in certain religions, and that should be a good thing. But at the same time, I feel like us in particular, we have to start at that. We have to make that as a basis of government. We have to make that the basis of what we do. We can't transform into somebody else. That ruins the authenticity of Africans as a whole. I'm sure if you were part of a Taoism, Shintoism, you're not going to conform to every other religion in terms of like your existence. Now, of course, when I'm talking about embracing others and loving on each other, of course, all religions should love each other. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you believe in. But I'm saying the basis of who you are, you should embrace your own. And think about it this way. I don't want to say it like this, but think about it like an exhibit or something. You know, like every part of the world has an exhibit. Everybody want to travel over there. But then Africans, what do we have? Just poverty and confusion? Like, we want to be that people that's like, dang, everybody, you know, Wakanda, that's basically what we should be right now. But, you know, but I digress. But love on each other, man. We are human, but at the same time, embrace your own. That's what you should do. Love y'all. It's a beautiful day outside. Y'all go outside, drink some water. All right, got YouTube.